Hello everyone, welcome to Resonant News. Today we are very excited to bring to you this video on ancient India. It started as our quest in finding out similarities between ancient India, ancient Egyptians and the Mayan civilizations. And then it went on to become our tool in solving the mysteries regarding the giant structures built across the world. We'll show you how our ancestors were using simple technology to lift stones into place, and there is enough proof to prove this. No, there was no alien technology used and there were no huge ramps used as popularly believed. We'll also show you how our ancestors were using a very simple technology, another simple technology to cut stones into precise halves. We'll start this video at a note we ended our previous video on ancient India 10,000 years ago, because this was not happening 500 or 900 years ago, but our ancestors were using this technology since at least 17,000 years ago. So there is a line which, when drawn 30 degrees to equator, joins the giant pyramids of Giza. It joins the large petroglyphs found in southern Peru called Nazca lines, and then goes on to join magnificent temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Khajuraho temple in Madhya Pradesh, and you won't believe it, it also joins the Easter Islands. So did the ancient civilizations across the world know something in common, or were they a single civilization? This is a mystery that we are gonna solve in this video. Keep watching. Our search for commonalities between Egypt and Indian gods began with ancient spice route. Kodungallur, a town at the tip of Indian subcontinent in the state of Kerala, used to be a well-known ancient port city from where spices like pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg and turmeric used to travel to different parts of the world. In ancient times, Kodungallur was called Muziris, also as Murachipatnam and Machiripatnam. The town finds mention in ancient Hindu text Ramayana, where Sugriv sends his monkey spies to search for abducted Sita. Interestingly, this name is derived from Machiri, associated with the month when ancient Egyptians would travel to India, facilitated by the monsoon winds for navigation. Kodungallur has a very famous temple of Sri Kurumba Devi, who now experts have found is very similar to goddess Isis of ancient Egypt. This piqued our curiosity. We had published an article on this few months ago. It is interesting to note the word Egypt comes from the word Ajap or Ajapati in Sanskrit, which signifies Lord Sri Ram and his grandfather Aja. So it is not surprising that many Egyptian pharaohs had names like Ramses I and II. And then of course there was an Egyptian queen called Sitaman, probably derived from Sita. In search of similarities between ancient Egyptians and Hindus, we realized many of the ancient structures were constructed in a similar manner. This is an unfinished obelisk, the largest known ancient obelisk, and is located in the northern region of stone quarries of ancient Egypt in Aswan. This is made of hard pink granite, and it is so hard that metal tools cannot be used on it. But then how did ancient Egyptians make it? It has markings of stone scoops. Something similar has also been found in Machu Picchu and temples in India. It is important to note that how well these stones were cut with smooth finishes and sharp edges, as if the ancient Egyptians were using lasers. The modern historians' version that these were cut using hammers and chisels does not hold true. This is a stone from Saudi Arabia. These are stones from Tiger Caves, Mahabalipuram in India. And this is from Puma Punku, an Incan site in Bolivia, South America. a perfect vertical cutting. And the same style of stone cutting was done everywhere around the globe, some thousands of years ago. It has now been proven that Incas were using sun's rays to cut these stones. An article by LA Times in 1986 also claims so. Is this why sun god was so important all the ancient civilizations? Most will agree that be it ancient temples in India, structures in Machu Picchu or the Incan structures in Puma Punku, the stones fit in perfectly and you cannot even insert a paper or at times even a hair between two stones. The stone was apparently being subjected to high temperature also. The temple in Priya Vihar in Cambodia shows curved stones, curved not by chiseling but by bending, as if subjected to high heat, just like the metals are bent at high temperature. The same can be seen in Incan sites of Puma Punku. Then there are these doorknob-like structures which exist in temples of Cambodia, Thanjavur temple in India and also in Machu Picchu. This proves that all these temples were following similar ways of construction. The temples, be it in Cambodia or India, also show signs of drilling and lathe machines. Then of course, most of the ancient civilizations had pyramids of different types. The temples in India have pyramidal shape and are more ornamental in style. Various experiments have now proven that pyramid-shaped boxes apparently destroy microorganisms, keep food fresh for longer, and it helps in maintaining positive energy. Most of the ancient temples, be it in Americas or India, were constructed on mounds, be it Sabrimala Temple, Tirumalai Temple of Balaji, or Teotihuacan Temple in Mexico. The perfect corners of hills in Bosnia and the Hindu sacred site called Mount Kailash are also speculated to be giant pyramids. Next question that arises in everyone's mind is how did they construct such giant structures? Now it is a well-known fact that pyramids were not constructed by slaves. In an essay called Anti-Gravity and the World Grid, Bruce Cathy recounts the story of scientist Dr. Jung, who travelled to Tibet in 1939 and who was shown levitation by Buddhist monks. By all accounts, a stone was first placed on a bowl-shaped stone, and then after much trumpeting, drumming and chanting, the stone was seen to fly 500 meters along and 250 meters up onto a platform. Cathy has found various similar bowl-shaped stones in Egypt. Surprising, isn't it? So were Egyptians and Buddhist monks using the same technology to construct pyramids? Today, modern science has proven that acoustic levitation is real, just that we have yet to reach a sophistication level where our ancestors had reached. If you are enjoying our video, do not forget to subscribe. Also watch the part 1 of this video, link to which will be posted in the description of this video. Beyond the style of construction, concept of rebirth, reincarnation, significance of sun god, lotus, a symbol of purity in Hinduism, was true for ancient civilizations that existed in Egypt, South America and the Indian subcontinent. Astronomy was of great importance in all these civilizations. This is why spring equinox, winter equinox and other similar astronomical phenomena is celebrated in India. Used to be celebrated by Incas, Mayans and also by ancient Egyptians. The concept of North Node and South Node related to eclipses were the same everywhere. In Hinduism, it is called Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the head of a snake which swallows sun, and Ketu represents the body. Here is a picture of a dragon found from Uxmal, Mexico, which is shown swallowing a sun. Coincidence? Here is a picture of swastika found in ancient Mexico, which is same as the Hindu swastika. The concept of Kundalini is also found in Mayan civilization. The Maya word for it was Kul Tun Lini, refers to the divine power. In this Mayan painting, you can see two snakes which are intertwined. Now here's a picture from Egypt. Compare it with the 7 chakras of yoga in Hinduism, which represent the different cycles in human body. Are they not similar? In Hindu Puran, Patal is supposed to mean the world under earth. But many well-read gurus say it was a place lying right opposite to India across the globe. Geographically, India and South America lie right opposite to each other. South America was called Patal in ancient times. In the story of Mahabali in Puran, a Hindu king of Kerala who was the grandson of Prahlad and the great-grandson of Hiranyakashipu, a Vaman from Patal had arrived and forced King Mahabali to go to Patal across the world to South America. The word Maya makes it to ancient Hindu texts like Ramayana and Mahabharata. In Ramayana, King Kuber, who ruled Sri Lanka before Ravan, had requested an architect, a Maya Asur, to build Kuber's magnificent city. Similarly, in Mahabharata, Pandavas had requested a Maya Asura, an architect, to build their palace of illusions in Indraprastha. Did you know ancient Egyptians worshipped a deity called Amun with blue skin? Just like Krishna, an avatar of Lord Vishnu in Hinduism who is depicted with blue skin. Amun is also associated with eagle, just like Garuda the bird, considered to be Hindu god Vishnu's mode of transportation. Hindu god Hanuman was also worshipped across the globe under similar names and had same attributes. Almost always he was associated with wind and air. He is an idol of monkey god called Havla, associated with wind god of ancient Mayan civilization at Copan in Honduras. Hanuman is known by a different name in Guatemala. He is called Vilca Huemana. Then of course is the worshipping of Lord Shiva, which is common among all ancient civilizations. This is Pashupati stamp from Indus civilization. Pashupati is also a name by which Shiva is known. Atum, an ancient Egyptian god, has similar attributes like Shiva. He carries a staff or a trishul just like Shiva, at times called trident, and is shown with a bull by his side. Now look at these shivlings found from ancient Indus Valley sites which are at least 5,000 years old, and the shivlings found at Templo de los Phalos, meaning the temple of phallic structures at Uxmal, Mexico. The truth is many shivlinga-like structures have been spotted across the globe, like this one in one of the most unexpected places, Ireland. This is called Lia Fail, the stone of destiny, atop the hill of Tara in Ireland. From the caves in Azerbaijan which have carvings of Shiva and Parvati to Lord Ganesha and goddess Lakshmi in Japan, Hinduism can be spotted in every part of the globe. But then why are we not taught about this? You see, making such a claim would bring down the foundation of many sects. Have you ever wondered why there are no signs of religious invasion some 4,000 years ago and beyond? We leave the answer of this question up to your sense of discernment. Namaste.